I also would like to add that anyone who's attached to Gaza is being purified. Just by looking at it,
I'm glad you mentioned Gaza, by the way. I think we ought to talk about it, actually, because it is the catastrophe of our era, and words fail me to even begin to describe what's an ongoing situation in that part of the world, and the reaction of the rest of the world to it. I'm thinking the West, of course, primarily. And you know, we try to understand what's going on, and the political understanding, of course, which may be fairly clear, but the deeper understanding of this evil that is happening and being perpetuated on countless innocent people, the continued ethnic cleansing and genocide we are sadly witnessing in such a graphic way. How do we? I know there are answers to this. I'm not looking for, you know, theoretical answers, but what words can we speak to ourselves, to others, at this time of great suffering?
You know what Naz brought up two things. He said the apathy you need to be woken up on one hand from a deep sleep of apathy, and he also mentioned another thing. He said that minimalism, when you start taking stuff away, you start realizing what's important. And having too much stuff, too much blessing, too much peace, oftentimes forces it. We clutter our life, we clutter our beliefs. Everything gets cluttered. And so what I look at Gaza, everyone who looks at these pictures, dunya gets taken out of their heart, little by little by little by little, until you stop complaining about certain things, stop prioritizing certain things, downgrade certain things, upgrade other things. And what is it that the Prophet, peace be upon him, said is the weakness of the end of time, the disease of the end of time? Love of dunya, and you fear death. Fearing death here means you don't want to fight for the truth. So when you're witnessing your people literally being mangled, babies mangled, 16 kids, all of them with a bullet wound in the head, you will not complain about certain things that you did complain about on October 6th morning, right, 2023 or 2024. You're slowly, very slowly, we're shaving away little by little by little. We're shaving away just by seeing the visuals. Forget it occurring to us, just by seeing it. And nothing is happening. Nobody's doing anything. It changes your priorities. So I believe that Gaza is the beginning. It's a beginning of purification for us. People's hearts are changing little by little by little, whether they realize it or not. And that's how I view it. Like, what is Allah doing for his ummah through this? He's doing something for his ummah, for his nation. And I never view it as why isn't this kafir abiding by being nice to us? Why are the atheists not following justice? That's like the total wrong way to look at things and a useless way to look at things, right? We should expect them to do this. I'm actually wondering what took them so long, right? That's how I look at it, right? Like the French, if the French ever do something to Muslims in their country, how many millions do they have? If they were to ever Holocaust the Muslims in their country, my honest response would be, it took you guys so long. I expected you to do far worse a lot sooner. Same thing, we have to look at them. So we should not even think about them. They're just tools. We should only have one perspective, that Allah Ta'ala is purifying us so that we can do something great in the future, right? We got to be able to do something great, but we can't because we're so clogged with love of dunya. It's like fat clogging up the arteries. You can't run, you can't move because you're clogged up. And for us, the visual, just looking at that stuff, it takes away little by little by little our wrong priorities, giving us room to do what's good and what's right. I think that's the perspective we have to have.
Yeah, powerful words. Naz, do you have anything to add to that?
Yeah, I'd say that, you know, the biggest problem that we have is the problem of death, ultimately. That these little kids, these people, that they're dying. And of course they're suffering, but they're dying. And this is at the root of our, I guess, like what makes it so difficult. But as I said before, that if we have a solution to the problem of death, then we have a way of looking at even this tragedy in a different light, right? And Revelation gives us that solution. It tells us that death is not the end of the story. So we have to wait for the movie to finish, right? The movie is in progress at the moment, and we haven't reached the ending. And once the ending is reached, then God is all wise. Nursi says that if the creator of this amazing world, with the wisdom and the precision and the means and ends that he's put into creation, that you can clearly observe in creation how beautiful it is, how balanced it is, how interesting it is. If this creator who built such an amazing palace, right, with all of this calligraphy and so beautiful, and then he forgets the roof, he forgets to put the roof on top of the palace. I mean, can you, like, does it make any sense to claim that this creator is going to forget to put a roof on top of it? No. So if as you're walking past this palace, you say, oh, the roof is not there. Well, it's taken a while. Why isn't he putting up the roof? Why did he make this? Well, he's going to put the roof there, right? So this is what Nursi says, and I think there's a lot of truth to his words. It doesn't suddenly just take away like all the pain that we're feeling about the people of Gaza, but it does give us perspective that we can transform what's happening for something good. And you know, the people of Gaza, there are a lot of these sort of sellout people in the Gulf and things like this. They're saying that, oh, the people of Gaza are being punished for their sins. What I love about Islam is that it tells you about all the different ways that evil can be used. Right? One of them is that you're punished for your sins. Right? Allah mentions that in the Quran. People do bad things, they get punished. But there's like a 99 list of other things that evil can be used for. And it's to lift your rank. You know, why were the prophets so abused and tortured and fought against? Is it because of their sins? It doesn't make any sense. Yusuf alayhi salam was a kid. Why did he get thrown into the well? You know? And one of the amazing things that Imam Sanusi mentions is that if Allah can, you know, not give the dunya to his most beloved creatures, such as the prophets, it shows you the estimation of the dunya, of material wealth, in the sight of Allah.
Yeah.
Because if it really increased your rank, and if it really like showed like you're an amazing person or a successful person, then Allah would give the dunya to all of his prophets.
Yep.
Right? So I think like we're short-sighted if we say, oh, the punishment, there's punishment going on in Gaza. No, the people of Gaza are honored, and they're able to handle this, which is why that they're going through this. Just as Abraham alayhi salam, he was asked to sacrifice his son. And I remember this PBS show where this Jewish scholar, he had an issue with this. So he said, you know, I don't know what I would do if God told me tomorrow to sacrifice my son. I couldn't do it. And then there was a Muslim scholar sitting next to him. He said, God wouldn't tell you to sacrifice your son, man. Like, who do you think you are? Right? He wouldn't tell you because you can't handle it. Right? So Abraham, yeah. Dr.
I was going to say the other point that Islam elevates is human willpower, because whether or not something is a punishment or purification or elevation in rank is in our choice on how we react. If we react with more sins, it's a punishment. If we react with patience, it's purification. If we react by doing better, it's elevation. So we actually are the deciders of whether or not it's a punishment or a blessing.
Exactly. And it's so beautiful because that these types of difficulties can be used to raise our rank. And I don't wish them upon anyone. And I really don't say this lightly, that there are horrible things that happen in the world, and I don't want that to happen to me or my family or to anyone else. But the question is that how do we respond to these things if they do happen to us? Because we can't escape this question, because this does happen to people. And this is why the prophets, the greatest exemplars for humanity, they go through such suffering, because they can be a role model for these same people. That, look, Abraham, he's asked to sacrifice his son, And he waits actually 8 days before he does this, right? The Yawm al-Tarwiyah in Hajj, the 8th day that when we start Hajj, it's called Yawm al-Tarwiyah because that's the day that Abraham alayhi salam actually decided to go ahead with this, right? But what is the conclusion of submitting to God's will? What is the conclusion? The conclusion is that Abraham alayhi salam not only gets to keep his son, but him and both his son, they become immortal for all time through the memories of all the people that commemorate them and praise them and remember their the sacrifice. So submission to God, paradoxically, you're asked to give up something, but you actually get twice the amount back. And the example of Abraham actually shows this to us. So even, sometimes we might even lose our life, but actually, if we believe in the revelation, we get eternal life back. So this is the difference between submitting to God and submitting to human beings or something else, right? Because God is not going to, he does not waste our sacrifices. He does not waste our deeds, as the Quran says so beautifully.
Okay.
MashaAllah. Well said.
Thank you. Well, we might conclude there, I think. And this is the book that formed the basis of this discussion, Pearls of the Deep, subtitle, How the Quran Transforms the Problem of Evil. How it transforms the problem of evil. This is no ordinary book on the problem of evil. It's a very remarkable book in many ways. I do recommend you get hold of a copy. So well done, Naz, for your outstanding work, and Dr. Shadi for promoting it so persistently as well. I think you're both doing very good work. So thank you both very much indeed for this very special podcast, really. And I'm so pleased you spoke about Gaza at the end as well, because it's always on our minds at this time.
Thank you for having us.
My pleasure.
Thank you for having us.
Take care. Until next time.
All right.
Thank you. Assalamu alaikum.